"Ma'am, you need to move." The flight attendant's cold voice cut through the cabin. An elderly black woman looked up from her seat. She was dressed simply. Her coat was old. Her shoes were worn. Several first-class passengers stared at her with disgust. One businessman rolled his eyes. A wealthy-looking woman whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, "There's no way she belongs here." A few passengers laughed. The old woman remained calm. "I believe this is my seat," she said softly. The businessman smirked. "Lady, first class costs more than some people make in a month." More laughter. The woman lowered her eyes. For a moment, it seemed like she might get up. Then the flight attendant checked the ticket again. Her face changed. The seat was correct. The elderly woman wasn't in the wrong seat. She actually belonged there. But the humiliation was only beginning, because nobody on that plane knew who she really was. And in less than an hour, the pilot would make an announcement that would leave the entire aircraft speechless. The woman's name was Evelyn Carter. She was 72 years old. Most people who looked at her saw an ordinary grandmother. What they didn't see was the lifetime of sacrifice hidden behind her gentle smile. Years ago, Evelyn had worked 3 jobs at once. She cleaned offices during the night, worked at a diner during the day, and spent weekends caring for elderly patients. She raised her son alone after her husband died unexpectedly. There were nights when she skipped meals so her son could eat. There were winters when she wore a thin jacket because buying him a warm coat mattered more. She never complained, never asked for sympathy. She simply kept moving forward. Her son eventually became a pilot, one of the youngest captains in a major airline. But Evelyn never took credit for his success. Whenever people congratulated her, she always said the same thing: "He earned it." Today was special. It was her birthday, and for the first time in her life, she was flying first class. Her son had secretly purchased the ticket. He wanted to surprise her. Unfortunately, the passengers around her weren't interested in kindness. The wealthy woman sitting across the aisle continued staring. Finally, she spoke. "So who paid for your ticket?" Evelyn smiled politely. "My family." The woman laughed. Sure, the businessman joined in, probably some airline mistake. A younger passenger pulled out his phone and secretly started recording. The old woman felt every stare, every whisper, every judgment. But she refused to react. She had faced harder battles than this. The plane finally took off. Yet the atmosphere around Evelyn remained tense. The wealthy woman ordered champagne, then looked directly at Evelyn. "You know, some people should stay where they belong." Several passengers nodded. Evelyn looked out the window. She remembered years of discrimination, years of being underestimated, years of hearing similar comments. But she also remembered something else. She remembered surviving every single one of those moments. The flight attendant noticed what was happening. She wanted to intervene. But before she could, the businessman made another remark. "Imagine spending all this money just to pretend you're rich." The woman beside him laughed loudly. The cabin became uncomfortable. Even some passengers who disagreed stayed silent. Nobody wanted to get involved. Evelyn simply folded her hands and remained quiet. That silence somehow made the bullies even more irritated. People often expect victims to fight back. When they don't, the cruel people become frustrated. For nearly an hour, the comments continued. Small insults, fake smiles, mocking looks, until suddenly the intercom crackled. The pilot's voice filled the cabin. "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen." The passengers barely paid attention. They expected a routine announcement. Instead, the pilot continued. "Today I'd like to recognize someone very special traveling with us." The cabin grew quiet. The businessman looked up. The wealthy woman stopped drinking. Everyone listened. The pilot's voice became emotional. Today is my mother's 72nd birthday. Passengers exchanged confused looks. The pilot continued. Many years ago, she worked multiple jobs to give me opportunities she never had. Evelyn froze. She instantly recognized the voice. It was her son. The entire cabin became silent. The pilot continued. There were nights she went hungry so I could eat. The wealthy woman's smile disappeared. There were years she sacrificed everything for me. The businessman slowly turned toward Evelyn. The pilot's voice cracked slightly. And today, for the first time in her life, she's flying first class. Several passengers gasped. The younger passenger recording lowered his phone. The pilot wasn't finished. "Mum, if you're listening, everything I am today exists because of you." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. The entire cabin watched. "I know you never wanted recognition, but every person on this aircraft deserves to know that you're the strongest human being I've ever met." Now nobody was looking at Evelyn with judgment. They were looking at her with respect. The pilot continued. "Please join me in wishing my mother a happy birthday." For a second, complete silence filled the aircraft. Then, someone started clapping. Another passenger joined. Then another. Within seconds, the entire first-class cabin erupted into applause. Even passengers in economy began clapping. The sound echoed through the plane. Evelyn covered her face. Tears streamed down her cheeks. The flight attendant smiled. Several passengers stood up. The businessman couldn't even look her in the eyes. The wealthy woman stared at the floor. The applause continued for nearly a minute, but the biggest surprise was still coming. A flight attendant approached Evelyn. She handed her a small envelope. "This is from the captain." Evelyn opened it carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter from her son. As she read the words, tears continued falling. The letter thanked her for every sacrifice, every struggle, every sleepless night, every dream she gave up so he could chase his own. When Evelyn finished reading, the cabin was completely different. People who had ignored her now wanted to speak with her. The businessman finally stood. He looked embarrassed. "I owe you an apology." Evelyn smiled gently. "You don't owe me anything." But he shook his head. "No, I judged you without knowing you." The wealthy woman approached next. Her voice was barely audible. "I'm sorry." Evelyn simply nodded. Because sometimes forgiveness speaks louder than anger. When the plane landed, passengers waited to let Evelyn exit first. People who had mocked her now treated her like royalty. As she stepped into the terminal, her son stood waiting. The pilot ran toward her. He wrapped his arms around his mother. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The hug said everything. Passengers nearby watched the emotional reunion. Many wiped tears from their eyes, because they finally understood something important. Success isn't always the person standing in the spotlight. Sometimes it's the person who sacrificed everything behind the scenes, the person nobody notices, the person people underestimate, the person sitting quietly while the world judges them. That day, an entire airplane learned a lesson they would never forget. Never judge someone by their appearance. Because the person you're looking down on today may be the reason someone else reached the top tomorrow. And sometimes, the greatest heroes don't sit in the cockpit. Sometimes, they're sitting quietly in seat 1A. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment saying "Respect for mums," and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who deserves appreciation today.